She was devastated. Knowing that I know my brother better than anyone else, the prosecuting attorney agreed with my decision to write a letter to the judge and probation officer, giving insight into my brother and our very messed up family background that was filled with all kinds of abuse, and providing information about who my brother was, both the good and the bad. My brother is a pathological liar, a narcissist, and can somehow charm people into thinking like he wants, except women. He is an incel at the worst level. I wrote to the judge to beg her not to just give the minimum mandatory sentence of 15 years, and now he is facing life. I gave a very clear explanation as to our family history, my brother's previous questionable actions that were red flags we all missed, and I also included a notarized statement from 2014 that my brother wrote and gave to me detailing his abuse as a child, when I was going through court actions of my own against our father. In that letter, he admitted to things he was never charged with. Well, now that the sentencing report was finalized, my brother and his attorney were given copies of my letter, and he went nuclear on me in an email to my stepfather, saying how my letter to the judge is the nail in his coffin and he blames me for what he realizes will be a very long sentence. My stepfather thought I was being a bit vindictive when I included the 2014 statement my brother wrote because he feels it was unnecessary. While I don't hate my brother, I hate who he became, and if he is ever released, he will re-offend, and that scares the hell out of me. Am I the jerk for writing to the judge? Edit. These recent charges do not involve him abusing minors, but rather possession and distribution of kiddie material, which is just as, if not even more, horrible because it just continues to add to the cycle of abuse worldwide. For those of you wondering, the statement he wrote, which I had, was something he wrote, notarized, and gave to the police when I filed a criminal complaint against my father in a state we lived in when I was a child that had no statute of limitations. Honestly, even after his probation violations, which were state charges, I never thought about that letter/statement, as I had severed contact with him at that point. I didn't remember I still had a scanned copy of it in an old email until the prosecuting attorney and I were speaking about his abuse and our family life growing up. So, it's not like I intentionally withheld this info. It was given to the police a decade ago, and I had forgotten about it until a few months ago. The worst part, for me, is that I was intimately abused by our father for almost 10 years, starting from when I was 5. When I finally spoke up about my abuse when I was 27, my brother initially chose to believe my dad over me. While my father was teaching my brother things no child should ever learn, and twisting his mind when it comes to what healthy behavior was, my brother ultimately chose to become like his father. Again, his recent crimes were internet-related. Update 1. Some of you may remember the post I made 9 months ago, asking if I was the jerk for sending a letter to the judge who was deciding my brother's criminal sentencing. I had people comment that they would like an update, so here it is. After about 4 sentencing delays, he finally went before the judge and was sentenced to the max allowed in his case, 27 years in federal prison. While I hate that this is the way his life turned out and that he will spend pretty much the rest of his life in federal prison, these are the choices he made. These were heinous crimes against children who will have to deal with this for the rest of their lives. It is only right that he has to suffer the consequences of his actions. Do I regret sending that letter to the judge? No, not for a moment. As a victim of childhood abuse by our father for almost 10 years, the fact is that he perpetuated the abuse of other children through his actions, and my brother knew how my own abuse severely impacted my life. While I know he has severe psychological issues and addiction due to abuse and indoctrination by our father, it doesn't excuse him, and in my eyes, it makes it worse. My stepdad also agreed it was the right sentence, as we learned a few things in the months of the delay that showed him once again my brother was selective in what truths he told. His probation violations were more than what he told us they were for. My mom, who has dementia, still talks to him occasionally on the phone but has not seen him since 2021. She is cognizant enough to know he belongs in jail but still feels responsible for staying married to our father, although she didn't know any of this was going on. To her, he was domestically abusive, always wasted, and a cheating husband, and she felt trapped. Everyone else has cut my brother off. When he gets out, if he makes it that far, he will have no one. No money, no place to live, no car when he is roughly 78 to 80 years old. So to some, it may seem like me writing the judge was a jerk move, but my conscience is clear.